Alright, yo, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. Today I'm coming at you guys with a really cool deck. Moving forward, to make the videos a bit shorter for people's attention span's sake, I'm probably just going to start doing deck profiles and then the duel videos and the replays, test hands separately. Separate uploads, separate times, and the videos will be shorter that way. I know, like, I still want to be able to get like concrete evidence and proof that my lists do, exactly what I believe they can do and what I say they can do. But just for the sake of the viewers and all that, saving time, because not everybody's just going to want to watch a video that long. Probably moving forward, I'm just going to do deck profiles and then do the dual replay separate. So for now, we'll just be going over lists. The list I'm going to be showcasing to you guys today is Buster Bladers, you guys. I'm trying to stay as, I guess you could say, diverse as possible in the terms of what decks I play and what I build. I would say I don't play literally every single deck, but I would say I've dibbled and dabbled in so many decks that there's really no like set specific deck that I only do. I try everything. I'm not like a channel per se. Like, there's some people whose channels only cover like elemental heroes. There's some people whose channels like, specifically cover, like, for example, how Chainlink is. He does Tinny like a whole lot. It's mainly Tinny all the time. I'm trying to like just be that guy that pretty much can just play any deck. I take the time to learn them, I research, I fine-tune my list, and that's what I want to be able to do moving forward. I always want to be like that way as a content creator, as a deck builder, and as a duelist. That I can be that guy that I can pick up any deck, play it effectively, make a list, and I can just, turn any bad deck into a good deck. Buster Blader is a pretty solid deck, it really is. But like I said, I'm just really trying to make sure that I'm like basically not limiting myself to that one dimension, like I'm only this kind of content channel. I'm trying to make sure that I get diverse content always. You guys know this about me. I'm always playing different decks. I'm always trying new stuff, because I just, there's some decks that you just never know that they're good, or you didn't even know that you would like them until you try it. That's why you don't knock it till you try it. By the way, the background noise is a fan, because it's 111 degrees in Las Vegas, so you guys are literally going to have to tolerate the fan, because I'm not turning it off just because it might bother your ears, because it's way too hot. I'm not doing that. So I'm going to be showcasing you guys my Buster Blader list. So a little bit about the deck before I get into the list. As you guys can see, it's a 42 card deck. We have it built to be competitive, of course. So a little bit about this deck. So this deck has a really strong lock that pretty much anybody that's ran across Buster Bladers or played it, or even played against it, has seen this lock probably come into fruition, utilizing one of these cards as well, which is a card that people are known for using with Union Carrier, but it actually had a deck that it belonged to. The same with Hulk, how he belongs to the Christian archetype. So the way the lock works is you're essentially just locking your opponent out of using monster effects, just using monster effects in general, like mostly on their field, and then also being able to lock your opponent out of their extra deck, and preventing your opponent from being able to attack over your cards, because all their monsters will automatically be changed to defense. You'll be able to normally get game on the follow-up. You can fuse with your opponent's cards because everything becomes dragons. You can banish your opponent's entire monster field full of monsters. You can banish them all. They won't be able to respond because they're already being negated. You can play around Dark Ruler and cards like Lightning Storm and things of that nature, which is really cool. Just the way you activate your cards, the timing of when you do it. So the deck's really cool. It has a powerful lock. It's good against combo. Dragon Link, being a dragon deck already, makes this deck really good against that deck, because you could fuse with their monsters, and also at the same time, basically, the Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, which one is it that's going to be negating? My bad, not negating, so Buster Dragon, turns them into dragons, but, the card that negates them is actually the Destroyer Swordsman himself, because, he basically says, all dragon-type monsters your opponent controls go to defense, and all dragon-type monsters in your opponent's possession cannot activate their effects. He does piercing and all that good stuff. So, basically what happens, and of course he gets a huge boost against Dragon Link, because, they have so many dragons, for on their field and their graveyard. This card's a win condition against Dragon Link. So this is, kind of the anti-Dragon Link deck, so to speak, which is really cool. So it's a good meta call. You can call it, anti-meta meta. And, this card against that deck is just really good. They have so many dragons. He'll come out at, Lord knows how much attack. Like this dude, if they just like set up a decent combo, I'd say they should have at least minimum 4 to 5 dragons in grave. That's minimum. And that's just crazy because like he's coming out at like 7,000 plus attack. But like so without the lock, you know, the deck is not that great. Essentially, like the win condition of the deck is the lock. There is a problem with that decks like Altergeist and Eldritch and, you know, other decks that don't thrive necessarily off monster effects. Like, don't get me wrong, like Altergeist to an extent, they need monster effects, period. Like, you can't just win the duel with trap cards. You're still using your Altergeist monsters to go into Hexia, to link climb, to summon, use monster effect. So you still can like hold them at bay to an extent, but you know, to make sure that I'm mitigating the main weakness of my lock, I did put in a Jet and an O-Lion and fine-tuned a little, you know, easier to access Haku Firex combo to get out Arc and Savage. You know, I know that this is not refreshing. I know that people complain and whine like, you know, I was going to say babies, but I correct myself. People complain and whine saying, oh, I'm getting tired of seeing this, that, and the third, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, if it's going to take a rogue deck and escalate it to a higher tier or an upper echelon so that it can contend with the top tier meta decks, I don't mind seeing the same combo over and over, because as long as my deck that wasn't necessarily strong enough before is able to hang in there and be able to keep up with the big dogs, I don't care. I'm not one of them complaining, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh players. Y'all can complain if you want, but I'm not going to take out Jet and O-Line just because you're tired of seeing it. So we're going to get into the list. I just wanted to give you guys a little rough draft summary over what the deck does and, you know, how I'm mitigating and combating the weakness of it. So starting off, I basically played 3 Buster Bladers, but one of the 3 is Buster Blader the Destruction Swordmaster. He's like a Raigeki. Basically, he whenever one of your opponent's monsters dies, he can equip them. He can send one of those equips to the grave, destroy all monsters your opponent controls with the same name as that monster sent to the graveyard, which is really, really cool that it's sent to the graveyard. So, like, you know, just one cool interaction that I'm thinking of just with this card is, like, with Zombie World being up, which is really, really cool. Like, no matter what equipped monster you send, you're always going to be able to destroy all your opponent's monsters because they're all zombies. Like, with this, any deck that is, like, not a culmination of different subtypes, but just, like, Infernova Knights being predominantly warrior, Eldritch being predominantly zombie, Adamantispators being rocks predominantly, and the same thing goes for like Dragmas being predominantly spellcaster. A lot of the times when you resolve this, you're going to be destroying every monster your opponent controls, and it's cool that you don't need your extra deck to get access to a boss monster like this. To an extent, you know, there's ways that you can actually summon this guy out, which is really, really cool. And the other thing too, just having a win condition outside of having the extra deck is really cool. So like having main deck beat down, you know, swarming the field, and just pretty much just trying to outpace your opponent with your Destruction Sword cards, setting up multiple follow-ups. You know, this deck can even do that. So even without the lock, you can still play Buster Bladers. It's just like the lock is what makes this deck so oppressive. And then I played 2 OGs against Dragon Link. This card just gets you. Like, same with him. Like, this card could come out easily at like 12,800 attack, which is crazy. You know, like, or even the defense getting boosted too is just ridiculous. Like, this is like double or nothing. Like, you summon this card, it's like GG no re against that deck. And it's kind of funny that you can use your opponent's monsters, because like to summon this card you just need Buster Blader plus a dragon, and this lets you fuse with your opponent's monsters, which is really cool. It's like there's some cool interactions with this deck against Dragon Link, which is like one of those decks, man. You know, it's a tier 1 deck. So I play Apprentice and 3 Souls. The reason why I play the Souls, the same with the Adhars, is because you need level 1 monsters that freely special summon themselves. Souls has added benefits, which is pretty insane, or I would say beneficial in this deck, because he actually can give you graveyard effects off of your Destruction Sword cards that you send to draw. And the same with this, you can basically just pitch this, draw, pitch another card, add it back. I like that this card just always recurring itself. There's even combos where you already have access to the Buster Destruction Sword, where you just dump this off of Protector Whelp and then use its graveyard effect to add it to hand. So that way when you set up your lock, basically you have a way to fusion summon again into another one of these using your opponent's own monsters if you really wanted to. You know, it just depends how you set up. You know, and Sword Memories helps you out with that because it does summon Buster Blader from your deck, so that way you can use this and their dragon monster and just fuse off into this. But normally they're not really going to be able to do much because you're already locking them out their extra deck. But you know, it's just really nice to be able to do that. And if you play against Dragma, that's also really nice too, because like they don't need their extra deck, but still being able to fusion summon using their monsters can be a huge problem for them and a detriment. So with the best starter of the deck, I would say it's Buster Whelp with Destruction Swordsman. This card is like almost full combo by itself. I would say this card plus any extender, not even I would say, it is true. This card plus any extender is full combo. It's going to get you the entire lock, but this gets you a vast majority of the lock by itself. Just normaling this and adding Prologue and then linking it off into a Karibo or an Almirash is already going to be able to get you Buster Dragon and also Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. Reason being because you're summoning Buster Dragon in the first place off of Prologue, and then you're summoning him by banishing this, and also the Buster Blader that you sent off Prologue to summon him. The only thing that you're missing out of that is this card right here, Dragon Buster the Destruction Swordsman, to lock your opponent out their extra deck. So this card by himself is one card, basically true king of all calamities. To an extent, it doesn't affect the hand in the grave, but this card, if you're up against Dragon Link, he affects dragons in all areas because it's in possession. So against Dragon Link, you could just summon him. You don't need Buster, but you put him on the field so your opponent can't like swarm the field and attack. He's just gonna keep you and your opponent in check. Just in the sense that like any non-dragons that they summon will become dragons and they'll go straight to defense. But moving forward, like this card is just insane. I just wanted to talk about how powerful it is. It has two other effects. Well, if it's in the graveyard, you can actually, if you control Buster Blader, you can pitch a Destruction Sword card, special him, which is really cool because Buster Blader is actually a level 7. That allows you to synchro summon into Buster Dragon or Savage or Omega, whichever one you want. And also you can tribute him to special Buster Blader from your hand or grave. So like he like this one card just does so much for this deck. It's crazy. Like this card is just insane in this deck. 3 copies of Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. Honestly, you don't have to play 3, but like it really helps the consistency of the deck because you already know what your win con is. You know what it is, and just in case your opponent has a hand trap for Whelp, you want to already have access to this card, which is going to be really strong, already having access to it, so that way if they hand trap your Whelp, it's still going to be totally fine, because like unfortunately, unlike Prologue, he doesn't send for cost. If he did, that would be insane. So like having access to this card allows you to play through a couple interruptions, still get access to the lock, and you're telling out Emancipators and Dragon Link and Infernoble Knights and any combo variant of Eldritch, even Invoked to an extent, you're telling them no. You have to play Dragmas only. And the thing with the Dragmas is like, yes, the Dragma cards, like the trap card still works because they don't need their extra deck with the Buster Lock. But the other thing too is, I think every deck in this day and age, except maybe Eldritch, pure Eldritch that is, needs their monster effects. So even though the extra deck lock isn't good against Dragma, the fact that they still can't activate their monster effects, so they can't actually summon the Saint to search, you know, they can resolve, for example, you know, Fleur de Lis, the Knighted in hand, but they can't use Maximus, they can't use, what's that girl's name? Daggone it, Saint, I'm just going to call her Saint. They basically have to hard draw Nadir Servant, you know, and activate it, and they have to dump, like, Elder, and try to, like, out your cards that way. That's the only way, but, like, you get really nice with this deck where you open multiple ways to get to the combo, because, like, this is already combo by itself, but if you have, like, a backup, like any backup plan, you know, you could basically, that's why I like getting access to the fusion, because you could basically redo your lock in case they try to dismantle your board. You could do it on their turn too, which is really cool, and normally the card they have to pop anyway is him. So like this card is basically just going to be used to lock your opponent out their extra deck. He does actually special summon himself, and he is a tuner, which means he's a follow-up for Synchros, Haku Fibrax, anything, you name it, he's a follow-up, which is really good. I wish that he had like an effect on summon, but like you can't really ask for any more than that. Like your opponent can't use their extra deck. We play Magician's Souls and Adhara as the free summonable level 1s. If you want to play even more to get more consistency for your deck, you can play Jester Confit. I just felt like these cards were individually better than Confit. Adhara because it's a tuner, and Magician's Souls because like this card just allows you to just draw, and there's great effects in graveyard off of cards that you can send off of them. So like Magician's Souls is just like one of the superior extenders of the deck. I do play 1-for-1 just to make sure I can always fine tune my combo. 1-for-1 pitching this is like still full combo because you just get access to this, and basically you just normal summon, you just make your whelp, and like you can just play it out from there, which is really really cool, you guys, that you can like do cool things with this deck, even when you don't hard draw like the best hand. And 3 talents. My bad. Actually, you have to open one other specific card off 1-for-1, because this card, unfortunately, it only triggers when it's normal summon, which kind of sucks. I played the 3 talents. This deck kind of struggles with pushing going second, so the talents just really helps mainly for going second. If I get hand trapped, if I normally like, because the cute thing about this deck is you can get hand trapped and you already open a trap trick or a prologue in your hand, and you're like, alright, I'm fine, I still have the lock anyways. So then you just talents, look at your opponent's hand, rip a card. I play the 1 goods. It's like another flex spot. Goods just helps you to be able to push. It does a similar thing as Whelp. To an extent, it can't send like him, but it sends everything else that you need. All these have graveyard effects, including this. This is one of my favorite cards to send and add it back. I play 1 because your full combo gets you this, and it recurs itself from the graveyard. You don't want to hard draw it either without already having access to, like, you know, Buster Blader and also Destruction Sword. So like, just be wary of that. So past the talents, we play 3 War Arthals. This card is actually not once per turn. The reason why, again, your extender should be level 1 is because you play this card. Any extender level 1 gets you access to your Destruction Swordsman, so you're effectively playing 6 copies of him in your main deck. 3 Call by the Graves. Talents is good too, but like Call by and Talent just gives you insurance and protection against hand traps or through hand traps. With Imperm, obviously Talents and Call by just don't work. That's why Imperm's so good. But against everything else, you know, like Talents is good against Gamma, where Imperm, you know, Call by Graves not. You can still hit pretty much any other hand trap. Just be weary. Like, I know people are playing Gamma and Imperm, but like this deck's also really susceptible to cards like Ash Blossom and Effect Veiler, which kind of sucks. Even Ghost Ogre to an extent if you hit the right card. So yeah, just be careful. That's why Call by is still here for insurance. I do play the 1 Destruction Swordsman Fusion. This card is pretty nasty, you guys. It's recurable. It allows you to fuse using your opponent's monsters, which is really cool. So like, just be careful with the mirror match, you know what I'm saying? 3 Imperms is the hand trap of choice. I play 1 Flash. Honestly, you could play more, but like, you normally just, it's the space and the setup for this card. Basically, all you have to do is control a fusion that lists Buster Blader as a material to activate this card. You banish all monsters your opponent controls. And the cool thing about all the Destruction Sword traps is they can banish themselves the same turn that they're sent and use both effects at the same time. And also, like, this is not once per turn, this is not once per turn. And this graveyard effect right here is actually not once per turn, just the activation because it's so powerful, obviously. But like, Flash basically is like a Raigeki that's better. It's like Invoke Elysium. It just banishes all monsters your opponent controls. It's an out to even Dragoon, which is really cool. Your lock already stops Dragoon from happening, but just like, you know, just in case, like, you still have a way that doesn't target or destroy to get rid of any problem cards. Your opponent won't be able to respond normally because they can't use monster effects. And this card just, it's a hard counter to Dark Ruler as well. Even cards like Forbidden Droplet, because like, even if they negate the effect of your Buster Blader, Destruction Sword, Destroyer Sword, you can still flash them and banish all their monsters, which is really cool. And like, if you have another one of these, like if you hard drew one or a way to search it, you can just activate it and pump out another one, you know, which is really cool. So like, just be wary and mindful of how you play your cards, because just by searching out specific like different targets, like using hindsight, seeing that you already have combo, searching a backup of this, or searching out this, or searching out even this, you play around Dark Ruler, you play around Droplets, you play around Kaijus and stuff like that that would normally stop your lock. I play 2 copies of Sword Memories and also 3 Destruction Swordsmen. So like, this card's insane, you guys. This gets you access to this, dumping Buster Blader, and normally, because you normally search this out off of this, like you search Prologue off of Whelp, you'll normally have like a Destruction Sword card in your grave to be able to do the play, but basically this card is like a 1-card Buster Dragon, and Buster Dragon's pretty good. He also is a follow-up. Think of him like Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, but for Buster Bladers. It's just that. It's like kind of like that. Not the same effect, but like what it does and what it offers for the deck, it's kind of like that. And this deck's pretty nice against Blue Eyes. Then 3 Trap Tricks, so that way you can still access Prologue, or you can access Memories, or even Imperm. That's why Imperm is also nice as a hand trap in this deck, because, you know, you just want to make sure you have targets for Trap Tricks so you're not drawing it dead. For the extra deck, I play 2 of each of the Fusion and also Buster Dragon. Hot Red, because you can make them on a follow-up using Buster Dragon. Omega for resource management, hand looping, and recurring my banished cards. because once I banish these, I can put them back in the grave off Omega, and also Savage for Omni negates. Arclight, the same thing, because your lock's not that good against trap decks, but summoning Arclight and Savage really do help out against trap decks, and also to counter like Evenly Matched and Lightning Storm, which people tend to side against this deck because like your lock doesn't do anything to spells or traps, so they can easily just evenly match you and wipe your whole field. And well, not like literally, but just leaving one card. Then we have Access Code, Unicorn, Auradon, Hauki Firebax. You could play like Link Cross and Marcher and cards like that, because Hauki Firebax is full combo. If you play Nightmare Griffin in your extra deck, you can basically use Hulk to get access to like this, and you'll basically go into Whelp, use Whelp's effect, and you'll be able to like so like not literally like Hauki Firebax in the sense, but like when you use this to make Hauki Firebax, because this searches out the trap, it's gonna be full combo. Because like Hulk gets you access to basically this. Matter of fact, you don't even have to use this. It is full combo if you use Nightmare Griffin, because you can send this from your deck to your grave off of Whelp, and then Hauki Firebax obviously summons one of these cards from your deck, so you summon this one, and basically you'll just like link off into Griffin, and you'll set this that you sent off of Whelp, activate it on your opponent's turn. So like just resolving Hulk, it's full combo for your lock, just that alone. So like you can even play like tuning and more Jet Synchrons if you fine tune your extra deck differently. Jet Synchron's full combo, which is really cool, but like I'm just doing it differently. As you guys see, I'm playing my list how I'm playing it, but if you change your extra deck and a couple cards in your main, you'll be able to do it like just off of Hulk alone. But normally you're just using him to get the Omni negate. So instead of using him to get the full lock, I use him to get the cards that my lock can't do anything to. So getting Savage and Arclight so I can negate spells and traps. Pankratops, and then we have the Wizard Buster because like graveyard effects matter. So like with this, now your lock is effective completely dang near, because now you're stopping monster effects in graveyard too. Lightning Storm, Droplets, Evenly, and Red Reboot all for going second, and a pointer for going first. So if my opponent sides like Dark Ruler, Lightning Storm, Kaiju, anything that I don't have the out to, I can just a pointer it. So yeah, that's pretty much the deck profile, you guys. I'm going to showcase a combo or two, and then I'll do duels on a separate video. So go into replays. So wait a minute. Buster, Blader, Total Lock. Pause. So Magician Souls plus Where Arthdal's full combo. The rest of these cards in hand are just kind of like there. Like this helps to draw goods, because now you can like do a little bit different with your combo, like your targets change. But like just this alone is like gonna get you what you need. So pressing play. Magician Souls to send Apprentice. Now you guys can see how the combo works. Where Arthdal for Whelp. Normal Whelp, Whelp effect. Grab Prolo. Going to Hulk. Going to Jet, and I'm just gonna like, you know, I'm just gonna do my Ardon. So I'm just gonna summon Savage and Arclight, so I have protection from like spells and traps too. Going to Savage, Savage equip the Ardon, chain blocking, and then I'm gonna resolve the O-line for the token. Going to Arclight, and I'm gonna activate goods finally, and I'm gonna send the, as you guys can see, I'm gonna send the Sword Memories. So like, what this does is it basically gives you access to 2 ways to summon out your fusion monster, which is like really good, you guys, because like just having a backup, making sure that you'll be able to do it again, like it makes sure that if your opponent has an out for the lock, you just do it again. Because against Dragon Link, all you need is a fusion monster. You don't need Buster Dragon to turn everything to dragons. So against Dragon Link, all you have to do is summon the fusion. But like if they out it, if they kaiju it, and you're like didn't have a pointer, you know, just sending another copy of Stored Memories plays around kaijus, which is really cool. It's like just having that insurance. You can easily just Foolish for the fusion, recur it if you want. And just keep in mind that Prolo can only activate after Arclight has gotten himself off the field. So you're going to have to use one of your Omni negates first, then activate this on the follow-up. And what you can do now, since I sent the trap, another thing that I can do too is I can just send the Destruction Sword, the one that locks your opponent out the extra deck, off of this. Because it sends a Destruction Sword card and Buster Blader. So I send Buster Blader, and then my Destruction Sword, the level 1 Dark Tuner. So now I have access to lock my opponent out of their extra deck, lock them completely out of monster effects, and I have 2 Omni Negates, plus follow-ups. So like my opponent just can't play. So that's another thing that goods helps too, so that I can get access to the extra deck lock as well as the monster effect lock. So like this is total lockdown. Once Arclight gets off the field, you activate Prologue. You're gonna send Buster Blader and the Destruction Swordsman. Then you're gonna summon out Buster Dragon. You can obviously chain the memories to summon him out. You get him, activate his effect in your opponent's draw phase or standby, equip him with the Destruction Sword card, and now your opponent can't use their extra deck, they can't use monster effects, all their monsters go to defense, all dragons in their possession cannot activate their effects. He's getting boosted for every single monster on the field, everything's going to defense, so he's attacking for piercing, and that's going to be game next turn. And on top of that, you have 2 Omni Negates. So it's a really powerful lockdown that, you know, your opponent's going to have to do a lot of work, a lot of finagling to be able to even stop this. Because you're not prone to Nibiru because the lock happens on your opponent's turn. So if they Nibiru me, fine. Waste the Nibiru, give me a fat token, and I just flip the lock on you anyways. So it's like really cool how this deck works. I like it. It's awesome. So that's the profile, you guys. Again, if you guys enjoyed it, just let me know in the comment sections below. I'll have some duels on a separate video. But for right now, this is like one of the decks that I really am interested in. I'm going to be probably playing this in Rogue format because I like this deck a lot. But thank you guys so much. I'm going to say a quick prayer and I'll be out. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Jesus, thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth just as it is in heaven. Please give us this day our daily bread, Lord, and please forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, Father, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the glory, and the power forever. In the mighty name of Jesus I pray. Thank you, Father. Amen. And also just keep in mind one more thing for leaving. You can play this deck a lot of different ways. You don't have to net deck at all, because there's so many ways to play Buster Dragon. Crusadias, you could play Blue Eyes cards in it. You could play Mausoleum. You could play Sage of the White, because you know, Yassine innovated that. But my list is different from Yassine's. It's different from Sam's. It's different from the Crusadia lists. I just took a different route, and I like my list how it is. I just like the cards that I put in it. I understand the weaknesses, so like me putting Jet and O-Line utilizing Hulk in a different way. Hulk is a way to get interactions that this deck naturally doesn't have turn 1. You know, follow-ups, you do get follow-up Hot Red, you do get follow-up like Savage or Omega, because like you can bring back Buster Blader or summon it from your deck off this, use any of your Whelp or your Destruction Sword to synchro to a level 8. Just like being able to do it turn 1 is really important. But that's pretty much it, you guys. Peace out, yo.